Roscoff, and I am an ambassador here with Project Die Hard. We are here every Monday night to get the latest and greatest with what is all going on in the world of Project Die Hard, because there's a lot going on. And if you're not tuning in, you're missing stuff. You don't want to miss stuff. You want to know what is happening here. So, as always, I do want to bring in our founder and president, Brian Gibson, to join us and give us all those awesome updates. So, Brian, come on in. How you doing tonight?
Oh, hanging in there, busy. First, I couldn't attend Saturday night. How did it go?
Oh my gosh, Saturday was awesome.
All right.
We had an amazing concert that took place in Seattle, Washington, put on by Brandy Wine and several other bands as well. But Brandy's the magic. She was on here last week. So if you missed her, tune into the show from last week and you'll find out all the things about her and her crew. And it was wonderful. The only thing I wish I could have gotten was a shot of the audience. We had like front row seats for the stage, and it was amazing.
It always works that way when we do live events because, Woodlawn Church, we had the camera set up. Everybody's like, what's the audience? Well, we're not going to sit there and spin a camera when it's all focused on the stage and what we got to cover. Okay. But no, thank you. God bless Brandy, everybody out there, because this is how the mission grows. And Sue has frozen again, so she'll be back in a minute. But let me share my screen. Here we are. Okay, this is the next thing I'm going to be pounding for the next month and a half. The Veteran Crisis Line. There it is, folks. Dial 998, press 1. Check your vet. Okay? A text is good. I have nothing against the text. That's the good one. A
just kick the bucket.
I am seeing that we have lost everybody here.
Am I back?
You are back in, and I'm waiting for Brian to make it back. I was bumped out. It was kind of crazy, but
I was not bumped out. I'm assuming I was live the whole time. So Brian was talking and he disappeared, and I just said, well, phooey, I'm just going to start talking. Okay. Till he comes back. Because
I'm honestly not sure if anybody heard or not, because I know you were in the back room here behind the scenes. So we'll see. We'll go back and find out this ended up later. But why don't we go ahead and move forward a little bit here? I know we're all having, all except you. You've got it all set up right, because we're having some connection issues. But you know what? We make do with what we got and move forward together. So. Ralph, I want to go ahead and bring you on in here. I'm so glad that you are joining us tonight. Can you go ahead and give everybody an idea of who is Ralph Brown? And I'm, like I said, I'm grateful you're here. So I'm going to turn it over to you for a moment here.
Well, thank you. I like hanging out with you and your husband, man. You guys are awesome. Okay, just awesome. But I'm Ralph. Those of you that don't know, I'm Ralph. I guess I'm a 4-time world record holder in extreme power boating and a prior service U.S. Marine. And anyways, Marine Corps was so good to me. I found out my son is talking to OCS just this week about the Marine Corps. So I don't know what kind of decision he's going to make. One of my sons is in the Air Force right now. So we're a military family. My father was in the Air Force. My older brother was in the Army. I was in the Marine Corps. My sister was in the Navy. And my kids love it because my sister was like about a year and a half behind me in the Navy. We both got sent to the same Air Force base at Lowry Air Force Base in Denver, Colorado. And when you first arrive, you have orientation meeting. And no matter what base you go to, no matter where you are, you're going to have orientation. And orientation it tells you what's going on around the base. And they usually show you a video, or back in the old days, projectors would post it up on the wall. And they would say what not to do. And so there was a newspaper article in Denver, Colorado, at the Air Force Base I was stationed in, about a couple of Marines and what not to do. And I was the main subject of the topic. So my sister calls me and says, Ralph, I'm here. You've been gone a year and a half from this base, and they're still saying, don't be like Ralph. So I'm not going to tell you what I did, okay? But my kids have still, they've all been trying to bug their aunt. What did my dad do? Well, it's really not that bad, but it's more fun to let people wonder about it. So anyway, my son that's a computer engineer was trying to dig up the old news archives, but I guess the base newspaper has gone out of business. Well, they closed the base. It's gone. So the old base was Lowry Air Force Base in Denver. It's actually in a town called Aurora, which is just north of Denver. And so anyway, so my dad was in the Air Force. My brother's in the Army. I was in the Marine Corps. My sister was in the Navy. 3 out of her 4 kids went in the Air Force. And my kid's in the Air Force now. And my other kid's at least talking to the Marine Corps about he's a computer engineer and at least talking to the Marine Corps OCS. And whatever decision he makes, that's his decision, not mine, as far as that goes. My grandfather was in the British Cavalry in World War I. Okay. Wow. And so we are a military type family. And so anyways, but the Marine Corps was extremely good to me. I went in a very, very wild teenager. I mean, just as wild as you can get. And so, I was watching somebody today and they were talking about when they were playing this game and trying to get away from stuff. And it reminded me when I was a teenage. Now, have you ever been to Sebastian Inlet, Florida? Okay, it's a beautiful place, unbelievable. The Gulf Stream comes really close to Florida, right about the middle of the state, right where there's an inlet that goes into the rivers, and it's called Sebastian Inlet. And it's the crystal clear blue water that comes in and out of there. It's just the most beautiful place in the world. And then on the south side, they have a state campground. Okay, that's the south side. Okay. But we were mischievous kids, and we would go down there and go surfing. The waves break really good there. For that area of Florida, some of the best waves. Kelly Slater, the world's champion surfer, grew up in the same town I did, Cocoa Beach. But he did most of his surfing around Sebastian Inlet. Jeff Crawford was somebody more. I'm a little bit older than Kelly Slater, so Jeff Crawford's more my age. But anyways, he was also nothing like Kelly Slater. Kelly's 12-time world champion surfer. 12 to make world champion once in anything is a big deal. But to make it in one sport 12 times, that's just off the record.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's just. But anyways, he grew up in the same town. If you would go fishing, if you want fishing, you go to 4th Street North Bait Tackle Shop, and you would go in there and get some bait and tackle. There was a little brat in there when I was going up. That little brat grew up to be Kelly Slater. But anyways, So it's just how things turn around and are. But so anyway, Sebastian Inlet has this great big blue sign on the north side of the inlet. Positively, no camping this side of the inlet. Okay. Now, if you would go about 500 feet behind that, now you had to get there. You had to go through a lagoon, which was be anywhere from knee deep to waist deep water. Depends, you know. And you had your backpack on your back and your tent and everything else. And or you could take what we call the what do we call that thing? Gator trail, and it would take you right along the water, but you're climbing through the mangroves and mud that's knee deep in a lot of places and stuff. And the rangers were never going to come out there, never. They weren't going to get out of their trucks and go wading through the lagoon. They weren't going to take the nature trail or the gator bait trail down the coastline. So we would go camping out there almost every weekend. Right behind the sign that says positively no camping this side of the inlet.
Well, and actually, I'm going to have you hold on to that thought for just a second. We do have Brian back now, so I want to give him a chance to come on back in here and finish his update. So, Brian, come on in, and I know internet's a thing tonight.
Okay.
Glad you're back.
How far did I get?
And actually, I glitched out before you did, so I saw the first slide, and that's as much as I saw it. I've been working on mine.
You read the first two lines of the first slide. Now I read the rest of it for you.
Okay.
On the microphone.
Well, let us bring this in. Okay, guys. Second slide. Project Die Hard Community Support Programs. Die Hard 6 Pick of the Week. Excuse me. Woodlawn Church. I picked them this week because of their help with this mission. We're talking to 3 more ministry partners, and I got invited to one of the biggest pastor meetings in my area. So we're getting all that put together. Our resource partner of the week, I picked Community Pay It Forward, Mr. Zach Clayton out there. He's been busting butts since the beginning, and he's doing a great job. But, you know, I can't stress enough this teamwork thing. Our mission supplier, Blue Dragonfly, right? You need a website, they're going to help, and they're veteran-owned. And new this week, as a facility supplier, Paducah Warehouse Furniture.
And I see him freezing up here again. We'll see if he's back live. And oh, there he's back. So we heard you say that they are the newest
facility supplier.
Yeah, that's exciting. We got some good businesses on the page here. My goodness.
Yep. All right. The more you go and support them, the more they can do for us. The more you support us, the more we can do for them. Because remember, we only take the best for those we serve. And then maybe let's go here. Go here. I'm sharing the screen. I'm there. I'm trying to get to the next screen. What in blazes?
It is one of those days. I don't know. Maybe maybe stop sharing screen and then come back to it. Maybe.
Okay, let's try
Technology
this.
is awesome when it works, and when it doesn't, it's frustrating.
My dog is right down here trying to get my attention. He's
Aw.
100-pound Rottweiler. Come on, buddy. Come over here and say hi. Okay.
Oh my
Say hi.
goodness.
He's the tip of his face
See
down
that
here.
pretty face.
Okay.
He's over here.
This is beginning to tick me off.
Buddy,
The update this
why are you
week
over
is
there messing
technology
around?
is a struggle.
Okay. No slide, but it's real simple, guys. We need 90 more people to give $22 a month. That will cover our current operating cost. Okay, I can't put it out any simpler. Forward operating base rush has to be completed first.
Mhm.
To keep our fellowship breakfast going, to keep the utilities on, we need 90 more people at $22 a month. Remember, at any time, anybody can request our financial records. No leadership has ever or will ever receive a salary. That's about my update.
Excellent. So that is a piece that I want to make sure is heard loud and clear, that we are actively looking for patrons to join on that part of the mission. Obviously, there's a cost to having a facility. We've got 20 acres with a 10,000 square foot building that needs remodeling to be finished, so that we can actually get our veterans to come and be able to stay and do all the things that we are able to do. But we need that facility finished before we can do that step. And that unfortunately takes money. And that stuff doesn't grow on trees. So we're reaching out to see who out there is able to perfectly consider this as a way to support us. We need volunteers, we need money, we need all the things to make this all come together. And as Brian said, 90 more people at $22 a month would be a massive piece of the puzzle here that we really we're asking. That's what we're looking for. And if it's not you, who do you know that this speaks to them and that they would be able to help? Or all, maybe you got 100 friends that are handy there that are all into this kind of giving. We need you. So please hear that very clearly.
You see, guys, look, pray for the mission. First thing I ever asked for, right? Second, share the mission, because somebody's out there who wants to help. They just haven't heard of us yet. Volunteer. You have a voice, you have a skill we need, and yes, become a patron. All right, Sue, you guys are having a great conversation. Well, I got to let you guys get back to it. Brothers and sisters, don't give up. We're working hard. All right, I got to go hop on to another meeting if my internet works. But Sue will be talking because we might have somebody coming down from Chicago monthly to give classes at Bob Rush.
Ooh, that's what I like to hear.
Maybe. All right, y'all. Stay safe, stay blessed, and reach out. Die Hard 6 out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. We always appreciate all that you give, all the time, all the energy, all the everything.
Hi, Sue. I think you froze again. So here I am back again. Brian's gone, and Sue is froze out to the wonderful worlds of digital technology. I apologize for me getting up and stepping away from the camera for a few seconds ago, but I had a 100-pound Rottweiler that wanted out of the room. Okay.
There we go. What the heck?
I let him out. So Sue's back again, and so I'm over here. I'm Ralph. So, anyways, I'm new and I'm learning. Just if you say, what I just heard from Brian is they've got some property. It's in what state now? Sue?
It's in Illinois, in Makanda, Illinois.
Lacanda, Illinois. Now, where is that in
Lacanda.
relation? I'm sorry?
Makanda.
Makanda. Okay,
Yep.
so I used to go to college in Indiana, just outside Chicago. Okay, so if you take 41 or 30 on into Illinois, right where they intersect, that's in a place called Maryville, Indiana, but just outside Chicago. That's where I went to college at, Cherville, Maryville. But now, if I'm trying to find this place in Illinois, have you ever looked on the map and seen where it's at?
Yes. And if you give me 1 second here, I'll see if I can pull it up.
Oh, that's even better. I was going to just say describe it. Okay, but I just want to know where this place is. But hey, let's face it, a lot of these guys come back, and women too, but mostly guys come back with their man. They're not thinking right. You ever pull a weapon on somebody, and you have to discharge your weapon with a target in line? That's a rough time, man. And then you're on edge, and maybe one of your buddies got wounded or died around you, or maybe several buddies got wounded and died around you. That really affects you in a lot of ways. And some of the guys just don't come back to society, just don't do well. And here's the reality. Some number, I was told today it's much higher, but for a long time I've heard it was 22. But and it doesn't matter what number is. If it's one, it's too many. Every day take their lives. So that's a big deal. And so they've got these places on 10 acres or 20 acres, excuse
20
me.
acres. Yeah, can you see the map on the screen there?
I'm looking at the blip. Okay, so you're right there. That's St. Louis.
Yep, St. Louis is here. Chicago way up at the top.
That's pretty close to the Mississippi River. Okay, you zoom in, real close to the Mississippi River. I'm planning to go up the Mississippi River as part of my publicity tour, all the way straight to the Mississippi River. And so we'll be going pretty close to this place.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, and I don't know exactly how many people they're going to be able to basically give them a place to stay and a place to try to get their act together and their life back together. But some of these guys need help, and that's what they're looking for. So, all right. So it's just over here off of Highway 51. And so can you zoom back out a little bit?
You bet. Oop.
Okay. But so it's called Haven of Love is the area, or some, and so Haven of Love Drive. That's what it is. Okay.
You got it.
And it's off of Highway 51, going south from Chicago, not terribly far from St. Louis. Okay. So and not terribly far from the Mississippi River. So those are give you an idea where this is. So they're going to take some people that are not, that basically get them some rural area and a place to try to get their act together after some rough times. And I'm coming in kind of late. And
no, and that's right, because basically we look at everybody has a challenge at some point, right? And the challenge of going from active duty to back to civilian life, there's not a lot of help necessarily going on there to get people on their feet and landed in a good spot. And even once you're here for a while, maybe you still are struggling to figure out what's next. What do I do? Where am I going? With the backdrop on how this was all started really is based on the number of veterans that have lost their life to suicide. And there's got to be a way that we can provide hope, that we can help, that we can do something. And this is a mission that God really put on Brian's heart to make this happen and to help the veterans out there to have a place. So that when this building is completed, there's going to be space for 12 single veterans and two veterans with families that would be able to stay for a night, for a week, for as much as a year, and get them to where they need to be and help them with wherever that piece is that's going to make a difference, or pieces, or who knows. Everybody's in a different place, a different starting point. And that's the whole point, is for us to be able to help connect the dots and make a difference.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Okay, so
Because with that, actually, I'll share a note that Brian mentioned to us this morning. He said he personally is aware of 17 veterans that have lost their life to suicide in the last week.
that's insane.
That's just of those that he is aware of. And I know the statistics are, well north of the 22. That's the popular number that gets used.
Yeah. So,
but for him to know that many, there's a problem.
So one of the groups I'm working with is a group called Patriot Outreach. And
okay,
it's run by Colonel Tony Monaco. And he's put together some self-help stuff that is made available for veterans. And
excellent.
It's not going to fix all your solutions, and it's not going to fix all your problems. But a lot of times guys won't get help. They refuse to get help because it becomes a paper trail. And once it becomes a paper trail that they got help through the VA or any other association, they get tagged with PTSD. Now, let's suppose, okay, that you're a very good shot with a rifle or a very good shot with a pistol, okay? But you really don't have any other skills. You know how to take somebody down, okay? You know, most companies aren't looking for someone to walk in the door and take people down. They just, really looking for that. But they do want security, okay? And some of the best paying jobs in the world are security, okay? And that's just it. And so if you have PTSD on your record, you can't get those jobs. Nobody wants to hire you with that because they're afraid that you're going to go off the deep end and shoot somebody. Or you follow what I'm saying? So he's got some programs that they can help some of them. Does it fix everybody's problems? No, whatsoever. Okay. But he's, so anyways, it's Colonel Monaco, and he's a great guy. And he's helped a lot of guys. And so this is the kind of stuff that's dear to his heart and what he's doing. And he's working with us as well. And so I haven't even told anybody what I'm doing. We've just yapped. Have we?
Not yet. We definitely have to share what you're doing. Before we move on from that, though, with Patriot Outreach, is there a website, or how do people find out more about that?
Oh, I'm going to guess if you just do a Google search for Patriot Outreach, you'll find them. Okay. They're just good people, and they're doing stuff. He's got some nationwide stuff that he's doing. And so, and not just him, he's got a whole crew of people as far as that goes. And so they're potentially going to be one of our sponsors or one of our teammates in what we're doing. We're getting ready to do. And so, anyway, so as far as that goes, I'm looking at somebody's note here: no paper trail, no government funds. Why patrons are needed. There you go. So it's a comment there from Project Die Hard, and that's another reason. That's what they say. So a lot of people, don't want to. They don't want that paper trail. They won't get the help that they need. And it looks like somebody else put. Was that you, Sue? You did that while I was.
That was me. Yep. Here we go. I found the website.
Okay, you found it. Just boom, 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 and put it up. Okay. Anyway, so that's kind of some stuff there, but he's good people and good things. So what we're doing, okay, am I supposed to talk about what I'm doing now, or what am I supposed to do? I'm just yapping right here. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. Sue, you froze on me again. Okay, I think you timed that just so I just wonder what to do. Okay, I don't know what to do. She's froze. She's the one that's been here before. I've never been here before. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So let me tell you what we're doing. Okay, I'm Ralph. Okay, I hold 4 world records in extreme power voting, and I have a dream that's different, a dream that I've worked on for many, many years, and is something I wish to use in a great way. And so we're going after what's called the world speed record for the fastest powerboat to go around the world. It's just as far as Sue's coming back. Check that out. Okay.
It's going to be one of those nights. Bear with me.
So, anyways, so it's just the way it is. Okay. So I've just told them that what I'm working on is creating the powerboat race around the world. So it's really an entertainment thing, but it has some far-reaching effects, really far-reaching effects. So the number fourth most profitable business in the world is entertainment. Now, what I'm talking about there, that's movies, that's television, that's the news, 24 hours of news. We're going to fix the world's problems right here. Okay, 24 hours of news. And if we haven't told you enough about this problem, we think that Johnny's opinion is this and this, and Johnny's opinion is terrible. Why? Because we can get you to talk and listen to us, and then we can sell advertisers because you're watching our news show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And just, did you imagine that storm that might hit 6 months from now? We're going to tell you, whatever you do, hold on. It might hit 6 minutes from now, 6 months from now. I mean, but you've got to pay the attention, close attention. So the answer to somebody put the question up there, we're going to do the Great Loop. No. Actually, yes, but no. Okay. We're doing a much, much, much bigger loop. And then we're all done. We're going to do a publicity tour. And the publicity tour is the Great Loop. Okay. Anyways, now I'll tell you what the Great Loop is in just a second. Those of you that don't already know. So for us, going around the world is not the Great Loop. Okay. Going around the world is 24,000 miles. Okay. If you can make it perfect, but you can't make it perfect. So we figure 26,000 miles. That's going around the world. The record is 61 days. That's the fastest powerboat, under 150 foot powerboat that's ever gone. 61 days. Now, if you go back, the U.S. Navy with a nuclear-powered submarine that was 455 feet long, okay, not under 150 feet, but 455 feet long, did it in 60 days and about 10 hours, something like that. Not much, just shy of 61 days. And then somebody came along and did it in 78 days. And it took them a couple tries to get 70. It was a British team called the Cable and Wireless. And then a New Zealand team called Earth Race tried and failed. Their engine blew up on them, and they had to pull a boat out of the water and put new engines in it and refix it again. And then they went around again and they tried to do it, and they got it in 60 days and 23 hours and 49 minutes, like 10 minutes shy of 61 days. So they beat the nuclear submarine record, okay, by a couple of hours. That's it.
Wow.
So you go back in history, okay, really big history. You go way back, and Ferdinand, what's the guy's name? Ferdinand. He's a famous sailor, but he started out. I'm sorry.
Magellan's the only thing that came to my mind.
Magellan. That's it.
Magellan,
it. Ferdinand Magellan. That's it. Okay. He set off with 5 ships, and 200 men to go around the world. And 1 ship and 18 men made it without Magellan. Magellan got killed.
I didn't really remember it being like that. Oh my goodness.
But Magellan got killed, Ferdinand Magellan. But he got involved in some kind of a fight going on with somebody in the Philippines, not the Philippines, the Polynesian Islands, and got killed. But then somebody else, some Italian ship came along and said, we're going to get around the world faster than them. And they failed. Okay. They came back. It was 1 ship, and they brought the whole ship back with most of the crew. Okay. Instead of losing, like Ferdinand Magellan lost the vast majority of his crew. They all got killed somewhere along the way. But anyway, so it's, they did it like a couple of years. And so a year and a half. And then we're looking to, the record, the second one, the Italian boat missed by 3 days Magellan's record. Okay. But they brought their whole team back, or most of their whole team back. And so that was a big difference. So the record now stands for a vessel under 150 feet at 61 days for a powerboat. Now get this. This is what shocks everybody. The sailboat record is 41 days. It's way faster than the powerboat record. Okay? Way faster. Why? Because it's all about the fuel. the sailboat doesn't have to carry fuel, okay? And doesn't have to stop and get more. And they don't have to go through both canals, whereas the powerboat has to go through both canals, both the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal. So I'm giving you all this information. You don't need all that stuff. But, when you're done with Magellan started off, I think it was 5 ships, okay? And one ship and 18 guys made it. The rest of them did not make it. So going around the world can have its dangers, okay, involved in that. But we're going after it. We're going to break the world record. My calculations. Now, before I tell you my calculations, I'm going to tell you that I crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the smallest powerboat in the history of the world. If you just Google my name, Ralph Brown, World Records, you'll find us. Ralph Brown, World Records. You'll find me a bunch of places popping up everywhere. Okay. You'll find that I own 4 world records. Hey, there we go. The main man has arrived. Okay. There he goes. Kurt has arrived. But you'll find my face attached to several world records in boating. And each time, a whole lot of experts got their calculator out. And anyways, they figured they punched their numbers into their calculator. I got a calculator on this desk here somewhere. But anyways, they punched their numbers into their calculators and said, Ralph, you can't do it. It can't be done. It's just the math doesn't work. You can't carry enough fuel. You cannot do it. It's impossible. Well, if you look right behind me, okay, there's a couple of world records on my wall, and they all say it can be done because my calculator was right and their calculator was wrong. So I'm going to tell you my target for going around the world, and a bunch of experts are going to get out here and say, you're crazy, can't be done. I understand. I've made 21 major ocean voyages, and each one of my 21 ocean voyages, somebody got their calculator out, punched it up and said, it don't work. You can't do it. It can't be done. Guess what? It can be done because I did it each and every one of those 21 times. So don't tell me it can't be done. So now I'm going to throw my numbers out. Now my numbers have been worked on over and over and over in details and checks and balances. We built test models and ran the test models around little tiny 16-foot models and running them through waves and stuff, checking out everything and just doing all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we have calculations. And anyways, people are going to say my calculations are off. I don't care. I'm not going to give you my calculations. I'm just going to let you look at the world record after I said it. Okay, but my numbers tell me I can do it if nothing goes wrong and the weather is perfect. And I mean, we get the shiny sun every day, which we're not going to get. 100% certain we're not going to get it. And we're probably going to end up going through a tropical storm or hurricane. By the way, when I crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the smallest powerboat that's ever crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the history of the world, I had to go through the remnants of 2 tropical storms and a hurricane. Okay. And I have video from Her Majesty Search and Rescue filming me, calling my brother and I idiots. What do those guys do? What do they do for a living, those guys? They're nuts. From Florida, they're filming us. We're bouncing along in about 18-foot waves in a little tiny boat. See, why? Because we could. Why not? Okay? Just why not? So anyways, my numbers, okay? I know anybody that pulls their calculator out is going to tell me it cannot be done. I don't care. I just don't care. We're going to do it. But my numbers say that I can do it in 35 days if everything goes right. Now, I'm assuming some things are going to go wrong. So I'm putting in an extra 2 days for buffer, just for problems. Okay? Could be anything. You have no idea what kind of problems you're going to. You could blow an engine. If we blow an engine, it's going to cost us more than 2 days, by the way. Okay? But you could run over somebody, which you don't want that to happen, but it did happen. And there's car wrecks every day on the highway. It doesn't stop you from getting in your car and going down the highway. All right. Every once in a while, a plane falls out of the sky. Not very often. It's considered the safest way to travel. Okay. But years ago, planes fell out of the sky all the time. And you know what people did? They got in them anyhow. They got in them and they went anyhow. I mean, now if you've never flown before, then your first time flying is scary. Okay. I got that. I've flown a lot. I mean, some of my earliest memories in life, my dad was a captain in the Air Force, and he was stationed at an island called Grand Turks and Caicos. And he moved our whole family down there. No running water, no electricity, no toilets. We had the outhouse. And you know what? We were having so much fun running all over that island. We didn't care. We didn't know there's no TV, that we were being robbed as kids, you know. But one of my first memories in life, not my very first one, but one of my first memories in life is on a plane ride down to Grand Turks and Caicos. Okay. And so, you know, and this was back when there was no electricity on the island, no running water. I mean, it was a totally different. They tell me I haven't been back for a while. Okay. My mother went a couple of years ago and she told me it's just not the same. It ain't the same as it was when I was a little kid. Completely changed. But anyways, so there's going to be problems, no doubt about it. And so we expect problems. You could have an accident. You don't know. Your boat could crash. You could get, we could be marooned on some desert island. I don't know. But
Gilligan's Island comes to mind right away. Sorry.
We're all playing. But anyways, we're going to use this. We're raising money for a couple of things. One of them would be the basically a program called the Eagle Claw Award. And the Eagle Claw Award is, when I was in the Marine Corps, I got a phone call. I was stationed TAD. That means temporary additional duty for those of you that are non-military. TAD to South Carolina. Anyways, to a base down there, the phone rang and somebody called me up, Sergeant Brown, you're one in the front office, go down there. And they get on the phone. It was Gunny Otto. And he said, you need to get your butt back on base by 2,300 hours. Okay. You're going to Iran. What? So you're going to Iran. Get your butt back on base by 2,300 hours. So I'm in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I was in school for something or another, and they wanted me to get out of that school at noon and be back on Cherry Point, North Carolina, Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, by 2,300 hours. That's, those of you that don't know, that's 11 o'clock at night. So I actually got back about 9:45, and I ran over to my girlfriend's house and I hung out because I thought, once I get on base, they ain't gonna let me off again. So at that time I was dating. I'm not married to her. I'm married to a beautiful woman named Anne. But back in those days, I was dating a girl named Renee, and I went and hung out at Renee's house until it was about 15 minutes from the gate, at the front gate. So I'm there till like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. It's 10:30. I can stay here another few more minutes. At 10:40, I hop in the car and race to the main gate. And I checked in, and they said, you're on red alert, stand by red alert. We need your phone number, wherever you're going to be. And that was it. That was it. This was in March of 1980. April 24th, 1980, Operation Eagle Claw had an accident in the desert. That was the attempt to take back the American embassy in Iran. It was to rescue the hostages. And so I didn't go. I had absolutely nothing to do with it, other than I was on standby red alert, and I was told I was going to Iran. I was part of what's called the embarkation team, and these guys had, scheduled all the gear that was going. Embarkation's a fancy word, means you're going on a trip. That's all it means. Okay, embarkations, all the rest of the junk you got to, the sea bag drag, all this stuff you got to take with you. Okay, but they said you're embarking, you're heading to Iran, and so I did not go at all. Had nothing to do with it. But that day in the desert, 3 U.S. Marines, John Harvey, George Holmes, and Dewey Johnson, lost their lives, and 5 airmen. Okay, and they're 5 very, very important airmen. And so it was basically there was a refueling tanker, and they had landed the C-130 in the desert, and they had already decided to cancel the mission because of other problems, but they had to put fuel in the helicopters before they could fly them back over to the ship. And so when you land a helicopter in the desert, it only kicks up a certain amount of dust when you land one. When you go to take it off again, it's a lot more energy being expended to lift it off the ground rather than drop it down. And so when you go to take it off, it spits out all kinds of more wind, which picks up all the sand in the desert and it tosses it in the air. So I've actually spoken to the pilot that was involved in this personally. So it was really important to me to understand what happened. And so The signalman, he's got two flashlights in his hand, and he's the guy giving instructions to the pilot as to what to do. And so the signalman told him to lift it. He went to lift. The pilot can see nothing. It's just nothing but dust, completely dust. He can see the two flashlights in the air. That's all he can see. The signalman is getting sandblasted with sand. It's just ripping the skin off of his face and his hands, and he's just standing there getting shredded. And he doesn't know what to do. So what does he do? He backs up. The pilot can't see anything else. Okay? Nothing whatsoever on it but the two flashlights. That's all he sees. And so the pilot sees the two flashlights moving away from him. So the pilot thinks his chopper is going backwards. And he doesn't know. He can't see. He's just depending on the signalman. And the signalman's getting sandblasted. So the signalman's kind of walking backwards. So the pilot flies towards the lights because he's trying to keep the same distance from the lights he was when he first lifted up. And he hit the C-130. And it blew up. Three men, the three crewmen on the chopper, the pilot and the co-pilot walked away. But walked away is not the right word, but they lived. Okay. And so the Corporal Holmes, Staff Sergeant Dewey Johnson, and Sergeant John Harvey were the three men in the back of the chopper, and they died. And then the 5 airmen died as well. And so I made a promise that I would make sure that they're not forgotten. And so we're doing some things in honor of Operation Eagle Claw. And it's really for any veteran that wants to be involved in what we're doing here. They can apply for a $1 million grant. Okay. And the $1 million grant is for their business. It could be any business to which a veteran that maybe one of the 8 men that gave their lives that day would have wanted to do had they lived. And so that's part of one of the things we're doing is as far as this goes. It's really a big entertainment thing, but we're going to use the power of the microphone for things that we think are valuable. And obviously cleaning the oceans is valuable. That's part of what we're doing. But, Patriot Outreach is valuable. It's part of what we're doing. And so children in third world countries that go to hospitals that we take for granted that if you break your arm, you can go to a clean hospital, get it set, and you go home. Christy Brown is my niece. I believe she's in heaven right now. At 9 years old, she lived in Honduras. My brother Chris was a boat captain down in Honduras, and she broke her arm. And she went to the emergency room down there, and they sent her from one hospital to another. In the process, she contacted tuberculosis, and she died at 9 years of age. So one of our goals is for that we're going to use the power of the microphone and power of the tool of entertainment to raise some money for hospitals in third world countries. And we're starting in Honduras. And so these are things that we're working on. And some people have wanted me to do political stuff. I'm not interested in doing political stuff at all. I have my political opinion. You have your political opinion. Let's just keep them to ourselves. Okay. All right. You have yours, you have mine. And I'm just going to leave it at that. If you don't like my political stuff, okay, you don't like my political stuff. Okay. If I don't like your political stuff, I don't like your political stuff. We can still be friends. And we can still worry about cleaning up our oceans. We can still worry about our patriots, okay, with Veterans Day issues and the stuff like Project Die Hard and those kind of things. Those are good things that we can all get behind and serve, you know. I can still want to build the Christy Brown Memorial Children's Hospital in Honduras. By the way, if you put the framework in place, the doctors will come. You've heard about Build It, the baseball league, okay? Build your baseball league and the players will come. Okay, I can tell you, I've talked to enough doctors involved with Doctors Without Borders, etc. If the infrastructure's in place, the doctors will come and volunteer their time. Okay, But if you don't have the infrastructure in place, you don't have the equipment to follow up what they do, it's difficult for them to come and do what they can do quite well. So if you build yourself up, you build the infrastructure, the doctors will come, and third world come. And again, our first place is basically in Honduras, and there's other developing countries that could use some help as well. And these are things that we're going to use the power of the microphone, the power of the attention. Now, let me kind of explain. And Kurt, sorry, I could talk for hours. Just stop me and say, okay, just stop me and say, Ralph, let me talk. Get the question in. But otherwise, I just keep talking. Okay, I promise you. I love what I do. I love everything about it. I think it shows. Anybody that listens to me for any length of time, I love the ocean. One of my first memories is that airplane, but my very first memory in life is going after grunions in California. You don't know what grunions are? They're a fish about the size of a cigar. And on high tide, they come up on the shore and they lay their babies. And then as soon as they lay their babies, they go back out to sea. And there's a whole bunch of fish out there waiting to eat them because they're going to die. They've done their job. Their job is to mate and make babies and go back out to sea. That's their job. They're going to die. They've done their job. Well, we decided to solve the problem for the fish. They want to go ahead and die. Well, why don't we just put them in a bucket and take them and put them in our stew, and then we could solve their problem. Okay? So listen, my parents woke me up to go catch grunions. I'm 4 years old, running up and down the beach in California, catching grunions. And I'm running, and my bucket's going up in the air. And as fast as I could get the grunions, we throw them in the bucket. And I was throwing them back out in the ocean. And, that's kind of the ocean. I'm an ocean kid. Everything about the ocean. But anyways, so all I'm saying is I love the oceans. I love the waters. And I love everything to do with it. And I love the Marine Corps. Marine Corps was really, really, good to me. It changed my life. I was a pretty wild teenager. Got some responsibility. Got a desire, went off to college when I got back, found a beautiful woman, married her, got 3 rugrats. And now my oldest son's in the Air Force. My next son is talking to the Marine Corps. He's talking to the Marine Corps. I don't know if he's going to go in or not, but he's talking to it. Okay. And that's a big deal. That's at least it's a conversation. He called me on the phone, to let me know, that he was talking to the Marine Corps recruiter. Don't know if he's going to do anything. But he's got a degree in computer engineering, master's degree. And so they'll find him a job somewhere in the Marine Corps or the Navy, the Army, or who knows, if he does. That's his business. All I am is the dad. And I've told my kids I love this country. I love all of the good things it's done for it. And you need people to do stuff like that. Okay? And so we need people. Someone said, well, what if your son gets killed, over in Afghanistan or Iran or Iraq or wherever? If your kid gets killed, what happens? Well, here's the reality. You and I are going to die. There's no way around it. No ifs and buts about it. You're going to die. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay? It's wrong to take your own life. Just in case you're listening and you're thinking about it, it's morally wrong to take your own life. It's not morally wrong to fight for your country. It's not morally wrong to fight for your loved ones. It's not morally wrong to stand up and defend the defenseless. That's not wrong. But it is morally wrong to take your own life. Don't take the coward's way out. Find a solution. Solve your problem. Okay, if you've got a really bad headache, stomp on your toe. Okay, because while you're thinking about your toe, you're going to forget about the headache. Okay, if you need me to, come see me. I'll stomp on your toe for you. Okay, just as far as that goes. But the reality is we want to be involved in doing the right thing. And so we're creating this event. It's called Cup Royale. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to break the world speed record for going around the world. Then we go on a publicity tour. As somebody asked, are you going to do the Great Loop? Those of you that don't know what the Great Loop is basically, it starts in New Orleans. You go all the way up to the Calumet River, the Illinois River, just north of St. Louis. Okay, you catch the Illinois River on over. It goes through Peoria. It takes you over to the edge of Chicago. Then you get on the Calumet River. The Calumet River takes you into Lake Michigan. Then you take Lake Michigan up through the rocks, out the St. Lawrence Seaway, all the way out to the Atlantic. And then you come down the Atlantic, all the way around the state of Florida, and back up to New Orleans. So for us, that's really, compared to going around the world, that's kind of like the small loop. Okay. But it's still a good start. And it's a big deal. They call it the Great Loop because it is a lot. So for us, we're going to go up the Mississippi. We're stopping at every major city, every major town. We'll go to Tampa. We'll go to St. Pete. We'll go to Houston, Texas. We'll go to Pensacola, Florida. We'll go to New Orleans, and we'll go right up the coast, Mobile, Alabama, and New Orleans, and we'll go right up the Mississippi River, all the way up. But we're not going to take a right on the Illinois River. We're going to go all the way up to Minneapolis. Then we're going to do a U-turn and come back down, okay, to the Illinois River just north of St. Louis, and we're going to come across, and we're going to catch the Peoria. We're going to catch the Calumet River on into Lake Michigan. And I know you only see my little arm going this and there, but I can see it in my head. Okay, when I wave it over here and wave it over there. So I'm sorry that you can't see my hands waving, but that's okay. I see it in my head. But we're going to go there, and then we go all the way out to St. Lawrence. Actually, no, we don't. Do not go up St. Lawrence. We go up through Detroit. We go up through a couple sets of locks there, and then we're going into, what do you call that lake north of Lake Michigan? What is it called?
Lake Superior?
Come on, you guys live up there. I don't live up there.
Lake Superior.
Lake Superior.
Lake
Yeah.
Superior. Okay. You guys are Wisconsin. You should know this. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I don't
Superior.
know this stuff, but we're going up there. We're going to a place. One of our sponsors is building a plant to turn basically wood trees into energy. Now, all you guys that are mad about trees, just a second. Let me explain this to you. Just a second. I apologize from digressing from the Great Loop to this, but you need to get this piece of information. Okay, we came out and said, save a tree, don't print this piece of paper. You've heard that, right? Don't buy a newspaper, save a tree. The reality is the vast majority of trees that go into paper are planted by tree farmers. Because the paper industry doesn't want a bunch of wild trees. They want a tree of a certain diameter, a certain age, a certain type, and they want all of that going into paper. Why? Because it's consistent pulp. And it makes it consistent pulp. You know exactly what's going to come out. If you send a bunch of wild trees in there, you don't know what's going to come out in your newspaper and your papers and stuff. So what happens is we stopped printing newspapers. So what happens there? The tree farmers can't sell their trees. If a tree farmer can't sell his tree, guess how many tree farmers are going to plant trees next season? If it's a 10-year, most of the growing period, 10 to 15 years, and they can't sell. They got teenage kids in college. I had 3 of them in college at one time. Okay, thank God. But anyways, they got kids in college. Okay, they have all these other. They got electric bills. They got dreams. They got all the same things that you have, and they can't sell their trees. Guess how many are planting trees? None. So you know what the unintended consequence of these laws are? Less trees growing. Now, which one eats more carbon? Let me ask you a question. This is that I have 3 teenagers at one time, 2 teenage boys and a teenage daughter at one time. Okay. I know this kind of stuff. Teenagers will eat you out of house and home. They eat everything they can get their hands on, and then they want more. Old farts like us don't eat as much. Actually, I eat a lot. I still eat a lot. But anyways, the rest of us, as you get older, the amount of food you eat goes down. Guess what? Trees are the same way. A fully grown tree doesn't eat anywhere near as much carbon dioxide as a growing tree. So if the tree farmers are not planting their trees and you're not getting the growing trees, are you eating as much carbon dioxide? Now, if you're going to be somebody, if your argument is, okay, we should not use paper because we want more trees to eat more carbon dioxide, the end result of that is, because you have less paper being used, less trees are being planted, and less trees are being planted, less are growing. And that's when they eat the most carbon in the growing spurt, just like a teenager that will eat you out. Am I right? Am I right? Okay. Think about that for just a second. So we're going to Octagon, Michigan. Okay. And they're opening a plant up there where they can make synthetic diesel out of trees. They're not burning fuel. So grandma's groceries don't get more expensive. I mean, they're not burning food. Okay. So grandma's groceries don't get more expensive. Okay. By the way, that's the most asinine idea I ever heard. You burn your fuel you burn your food rather. You burn your food for fuel. Just doesn't make any sense to me. But if tree farmers now have a reason to plant trees, guess what? They're going to plant trees. And if they're going to plant trees, you're going to have more trees growing. And if you have more trees growing, more carbon dioxide is coming out of the air. Okay. If you want more carbon dioxide coming out of the air, then they make a synthetic diesel fuel that you don't have to completely rebuild the engine. You don't have to completely rebuild everything. You've got a system that works good. So anyways, so one of the things we're doing is one of our sponsors, Syncell Energy, that means synthetic diesel. Okay, that's what they're doing. And so they're doing a plant in Octagon, Michigan, and we're going to go be part of that publicity, stuff like that, on our publicity tour. And so we'll go up to the Upper Lake, and then we'll go to Octagon, and then we'll come back down through Detroit area, and then we go out, the St. Lawrence Seaway. Once you out St. Lawrence Seaway, we're still doing a publicity tour now. Then you stop every city on the way. Then we're going to cross the Atlantic again, not racing at this time. We're going country to country, knocking on doors, challenging them to bring forth a champion and race us. Bring forth a champion. You say, well, nobody cares. Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Nobody cares about your world records. None whatsoever. Until you visit their town and you come to their harbor, and the newspapers will fall all over themselves trying to get out and meet you. And the television reporters will come out loud. Now, like this program here, this is part of the new media right here that we're on right now. This is new media. Everybody's got their own television station. There's lots and lots and lots. 51% of all media as of about a year ago, which means it's probably higher now. It's probably 52% or 53%, whatever it is. Okay. But as of about a year ago, 51% of all the media being used across the world was the new media. 49% was old media. Okay. Your television stations, your movies, all that kind of junk. All of that was 40. But the problem is that 51% is extremely fractionalized. There are thousands of podcasts, millions of podcasts like this going on out there. But if you get in front of the old media is not fractionalized. Okay? It's more of a big conglomerate. There's still a lot of pieces in there, but those pieces all know what they're all doing. Okay? They all follow each other. They all see what. So if you get news in one of the old major media outlets, everybody knows about it. So, for instance, when we arrived in London, as the smallest powerboat to ever cross the Atlantic. Now, the BBC did a special on us, and we got caught in some other islands, and they were there, and they had a big crowd of people there, and that island claimed that our record was set there. But that's not what we put in the paperwork to start with. So we have to finish. We had to keep the rules according to what we originally agreed to. So I'm sorry to all you guys in the Shetland Islands. We did not set a world record in the Shetland Islands, but they said we did. Okay, the BBC was there and the big crowd was there to make a big deal about it, all that kind of. So what happened was we arrived in London and at Limehouse Marina, and Channel 4 News from London came out and did a video of us. NBC bought that video, and then they played it on NBC and on MSNBC. And people as far as the Associated Press picked it up. Once Associated Press picked it up, I mean, we had newspapers and magazines as far as China. I've never been to China, but I got a 4-page article in Chinese Yacht Magazine. It's got my ugly mug in there. Okay. And even though I was younger back then, I still look just as old and wrinkly then as I do now. Okay. But, it still made I've been to the coolest thing in the world. 4-page article in China. One PR guy said we had 78,000 news articles on us.
Oh my goodness.
only did about 150 interviews. Okay. And as you can tell from this, I've been talking for half hour nonstop, right? To wherever you guys say stop talking. Okay. I love what I'm doing and I can talk your ear off. And to most people find it somewhat interesting. Okay.
Yeah, this is
I mean,
amazing.
you invited me back. Pardon me?
This is amazing. I mean, you've got so many wonderful stories. I think it is something that people are interested in and like to hear about because there's so much here. And I would love to have you back sometime that we can keep the conversation going because there's a lot to dig through because you've had so many amazing experiences, both with your military background, what you're doing with the boating and the upcoming race and all the things, all the pieces. But we are actually at our ending here for tonight. But I want to give you a chance for a final thought, though.
I'm sorry, I talk too much. Okay,
No,
I
love hearing your stories. It really is. Where else do we hear all of these things? And I've learned so much. Every time I talk to you, I learn things. I learn, and I love it. So I appreciate what you bring.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I will attempt to live up to some of them. but you know, to me, it's fun. I love what I'm doing. I would do it for free. In fact, I do it for free most of the time. My wife says you got to have a paycheck. Okay, but I do it for free. And by the way, just so you know, if any of your listeners are interested in owning part of this race, they're free to contact me. Right now, there are a few openings still. I was hoping that Friday, and Kurt knows this, I was hoping that Friday, a couple days ago, I would be closing it off. And so I'm waiting on a phone call that I should have that closes out the deal. It just says it's completely gone. There's no more opportunities to own part of this. But if you bought into NASCAR for $10,000, today you would have $500 million, and not including a major dividend of every year. Okay. And what do? They turn left. And you know what they do after they turn left? They turn left again. And then after that left turn, they turn left again. But they collect $1.1 billion. $1.1 billion for the television media rights to do what? To watch them turn left.
Watch that.
Okay, that's it. You know, the five largest things on TV are all sports competing against each other. And what they are is they're soccer and racing. Okay, so the fourth largest industry in the world is the television and media industry, the movies, all of that kind of stuff. The five largest things on television worldwide are all international sports where countries compete against countries, and it's racing and soccer. We're creating a new international racing event. Now I'm done.
Well, if people want to find out more, how do they do that?
You can call me. I take phone calls, 352-346-2365. I guess Sue's going to put that in the chat. Okay.
If you'd like me to do that, I'd be happy to. So say the number again.
And then my email is Ralph, RALPH, not RALF, like those British guys put in that video. Okay. It's RALPH, Ralph. The American spelling is RALPH, Brown. But it's Ralph at cuproyale.com. Ralph at cuproyale.com. And if anybody out there would ever like for me to come and speak on their podcast, I never turn down one. Okay. I won't say never, almost never turn down one. If I can find, I don't want to tread on someone else. If you've got some other crowd there that's going to speak, I don't want to steal their show. I don't want to be any part of that because there's a lot more important things than what I'm doing out there. But this is fun. It is fun. And to me, it's outrageously interesting. Okay. And so we're going to go. And there's a forward operating base rush when you get there. I have no idea what that is. But whatever it is, we'll figure it out. We're going to go. Yeah. Wherever it's at. Are you not seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Oh, Sue froze again. I'm so sorry, Sue. Kurt, are you running the show? Kurt, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me. If anybody's still out watching, glad you came on board. Okay. If you're not still watching, then that's okay too. But there she is. Sue's come back. She's the organizer. And so, or I guess Kurt's, I don't know. I'm just a visitor. Okay.
So we are so happy to have you here, Kurt. I wanted to give you a chance to say what's on your mind quick, and then we're gonna wrap up and call it an evening here. But Kurt, I'm gonna pass it to you real quick. Uh-oh, he's not gonna have sound. This is the night of technology issues. What is happening?
And they asked me why I don't like digital motors on boats. I want mechanical.
I think I can feel that right now. So
I'm very funny about that too.
Well, and the way we end our evenings here when we do our Project Die Hard Mission Monday update is our final thought is to share a word of hope for our veterans. So, Kurt, I don't know if do you have your sound back? Are you able to share for a moment?
Yeah, I definitely can share. Thanks. Oh my goodness. Show business, what it gets us into. So I guess my sharing is going to be, about what we're here to support, the work of the demons and, the dark places and the trouble that our minds bring us to, and this whole field of suicide ideation. I mean, I put a lot of devotion to it. I work to have some sort of an understanding of what's going on out there. And, what I'm finding is that, it's about connection. Brian put out, about, a text, a call, a personal visit, and I've said before about the idea of belonging. And so to me, for all people, that's something that needs to be, grown all over the place. We need more of people getting together and, like Ralph's talking about going on tour, going along these waterways and having real in-person visits. I said earlier today that Mother Nature is our chief physician. Mother Nature, Ralph loves the ocean. How grand it is to go in the ocean. I talk about going out somewhere where there's nothing man-made. Well, if you're on a ship, obviously that's man-made, but be able to look out away from a ship and then to see nothing man-made out and around anywhere. To me, there's something therapeutic and necessary as a person, as a human, to ground out and to get that disturbance that life can dish out. And so that's the great gift that Forward Operating Base Rush is. 20 acres to go and get lost out in that wilderness, out into that green space, out into the trees, out in the wild growth. And, and that's really, the growth plan, for Project Die Hard, is find more places like that around the country. And, Ralph's bringing this into the world spectrum. So that's what we're trying to grow this availability, to our veterans and really find these havens to keep you, all the veterans out there. I'm speaking to all the veterans. Sue and I had military experience at all, but we're taking our naivete and saying, we just believe that we can do better. And Sue and I want to be a part of that. And so my phone number, I always want to make available to call and text, is 262-372-1754. And email me as much as you like. Kurt, Kurt, at projectdiehard.org. I, Kurt Roskoff, am here for you. Please give me a chance. Back to you, Sue.
Excellent. Well, and wrap up here too, Ralph, I'm wanting to give you the opportunity if you want to share a word of hope for our veterans out there. And I do want to say thank you to you as well as a veteran. I'm so glad that you're able to join us here.
Well, I don't consider myself needing to be thanked. I thought the Marine Corps was the greatest thing in the world for me. I went in as wild as you can imagine, just as wild as you can imagine. Okay. And then mark it a little bit wilder. Okay. From that, and the Marine Corps gave me some discipline. I came out a completely different person. And I look back and I think it was one of the greatest things I ever did for myself was to join the military. Yes, I did pack a rifle. Yes, I did the sea bag drag. That's where everything you own goes in the bag and off you go. I went to elsewhere and stuff. But the reality is, it was just, I was on the receiving end of so much goodness. And yeah, you get cussed at and you punched in the face by an officer. That happened to me twice. Okay. I got actual punch. Got cussed at a lot more than that. Someone gets in your face, but you know what? It toughens you up a little bit. And when you get a little bit older and somebody gets in your face and yells at you, it's no big deal. In fact, can I have time for one 10-second story or 20-second story?
Go for it.
I went to try and see some Fox News guys. And so I went up to the Fox News and I was trying to give them some information on Cup Royale. And Brian Kilmeade came out the front door, or the side door where I was at. And I ran over to him and I said, "Hey, Brian." Now, Brian Kilmeade is one of the hosts on Fox News, and he's really a nice guy. And also, he was a student of my uncle. Well, my uncle was his biology teacher before that. So anyways, and so I'm talking to Brian, and the security guard comes out, and he's standing this far away from my face, yelling at me to look at him. And because I was so used to in the Marine Corps, those guys yelling at me like that, I was able to totally ignore the security guard. His job is to get you to look at him so Brian Kilmeade can escape. But I was able to stand there and talk to Brian Kilmeade and just totally ignore the security guy. Because why? Because the Marine Corps taught me to do that. Anywhere else, I would have never. This guy's got his face like right there yelling at me, just like a Marine Corps boot camp, man. The guy's there yelling. He's trying, look at me, look at me, look at me. And I'm just talking to Brian. And Brian was nice, and Brian was talking back to me. And, and then Brian left. He took the package I gave him and left. Okay? And so I was up there promoting Cup Royale. Anyways, all that to say is the Marine Corps was good to me. But you know what? Kurt and Susan, unbelievable people. And Kurt is that kind of guy that if you ever need to reach out to him, he will stop and listen to you and give you his opinion. And he's really slow to do that, which is good. He's not in a hurry to give his opinion. He's more of a listener type guy. And by the way, if you're a guy out there thinking about giving yourself Harry Carey, go talk to Kurt. Okay? He'll listen. Me, I'm going to tell you, suck it up. Okay? You got a headache? Come here, I'll step on your toe. Okay? And we'll stop worrying about your headache. Okay? But Kurt's gonna be the right guy. Okay? He really is. He is that guy. All right? Back to you.
Awesome. Well, Ralph, this has been a treat to have you on here tonight. And I often have said one of the things that helps to give hope and provide hope to people is finding that passion, finding something that inspires you. And it's obvious, Ralph, that you have so many things that do inspire you, and you've got that passion in your belly. And I hope that people can grab onto that. And I hope that maybe this has opened somebody's eyes to possibilities that, wait, you can race a boat around the world. It's only a 150-foot boat. You can
do
that.
Ours is 68 foot. 68 foot. Ours is 68 foot, not a 68 the category is 150 foot and smaller.
It's smaller.
That's our category. Ours is 68. We don't want any bigger than that.
So you may have lit a fire under somebody out there. We'll hope, time will tell if that is the case here, that with those that are listening to what's going on here, that this may be the thing that somebody needed to hear right here tonight. And I can only hope that's the case. It's what I needed tonight. So I so appreciate you being here. And we are here every Monday night because there's so much going on with Project Die Hard. On a weekly basis, there's so much going on. We just want to make sure that everybody is aware and that we can stay on top of people's minds and open that possibility, whether you would be able to pray for the mission, volunteer with our mission, sponsor in some fashion financially with our mission and share it out there. Share what we're doing. The more people that know, the more we can do. So as Brian always says, teamwork makes the dream work, and it's the truth. So let's see what we can do in this upcoming week to really make a difference for each other. And Ralph, really, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And